Yeah, so this method is, you'll see where it gets its name before too long. So I'm going to start you out with we have six examples. And in the first three, my goal is to show you levels one, two, and three. And then in the next three examples, I want to like put the problems up and have you talk to me about what level you think it is. So for our first example, we have this. If I asked you to do this by graphing, could you? Of course you could. You could get y by itself, like we've been doing this, get y equals mx plus b, but I'm not going to ask you to do it by graphing. If I asked you to do this by substitution, what might be a problem with that? Yes, none of the variables are lacking numbers. And so, as I promised you before, if I ask you to do substitution, I'm going to make it a good problem for substitution. So, this leads us then to the third method today called elimination. And elimination is, oh, I wrote my lesson backwards too. Would you guys mind erasing this? Or do you want to try it the way second hour did it, since we've already got it? You just want to go backwards?
Let's do it.
It's not scary.
This is level three.
This is a level three problem.
No, I want to.
This is not the Jerry Springer show, okay? You don't get to just yell from the crowd, and that's not how this works. Constructive.
Yeah.
Keep that there. Off to the side, right? Here's the real example. I forgot I actually wrote the lesson last night with this in mind. What a crazy man. When you see how to do this problem on the right, then you'll see why the other one is harder. So here it goes. Quickly, this should take about 30 seconds for me to get across to you. In order for you to use this method, what you're going to do is you're going to add the equations together. And it's perfectly legal, by the way. You'll do a lot of this in Algebra 2 and then like other classes, it's called a linear combination. And what we're going to do is we're going to take one equation and we're going to add it to the other equation. Now, I'm only going to do this because something cool happens. If you add in this column where the red arrow is pointing, pay close attention now. If you add that column, what do you get? You get nothing. And that's where this method gets its name. We just eliminated the x's by adding these together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a line down here. This is like the line you used to draw back in little kiddie school when you were going to add numbers together. I like to put that line there when I say like I'm going in. I'm going to add these together. And when I add equation one to equation two, you would agree that the x's eliminate each other. That's where the name comes from. And then let's just keep going. Let's go to where the green arrow's at. Add those together. What do you get? Drop your equal sign and now add where the purple arrow is. What do you get? Correct. And you'll remember with the box method that we didn't get this far for till later. Like it took more doing than this, a little more elbow grease. But with elimination, it's just literally just, I mean, it's just boom. It just fell into our lap. And now you've got yourself a little sixth grade equation. Divide both sides of this little equation by 2, and you are done. Now, when I say done, I don't, of course, mean the problem's over, but I do mean you're done with finding your first answer, which is the y coordinate, which is -9. And now the only downside to this method today is that it doesn't have a little box to put the numbers in. That was my favorite part about substitution is I feel like rewarded at the end when I get like y equals 3 and I could just put it right back in the little box and I have my answer in like 2 seconds. This one's a little bit more labor intensive on the back end. So your options at this point are to take the -9 and put it in the top equation or the bottom equation. And, everyone's going to feel differently about which equation feels better. I think in a case like this, though, most of us would probably agree that the top equation just looks less scary. It's got less negatives. maybe smaller numbers like there. I couldn't think of many reasons why somebody would pick the bottom one. So what we're going to do is what we always do. If I know what y is, and I do know what y is, then I'm going to take that number and I'm going to put it right there in place of y. Okay. And that then is going to say, so that's this equation now. It's going to say 5x minus 6 blank equals 49. What's going in that blank? Negative 9. Remember, it used to be a y, but into the blank, we're going to put what we know y is. Like we worked so hard to find it, why not use it to our advantage? So we put negative 9 in there, and now we just solve. So the equation now says 5x plus 54 times tables. Hello, hello, hello. And then you subtract 54 from both sides, and you get 5x equals, what's 49 minus 54?
5.
Nope. -5, I'll take. And then we divide both sides by 5, and x equals -1. And the problem is over. I call this is not a real math term. I call these fluffer puffers. Once I always try to get you perspective. When I'm teaching you how to do something for the first time, I can't do it in 20 seconds. I would lose 3/4 of my class. So I take time because I have to talk a lot. It's the nature of what I do. When you're doing that problem by yourself, you're done in 20 seconds flat. I call it a fluffer puffer because the X's were already ready to cancel. Like all we had to do was go in and say, I'm just going to add straight down and those X's are going to eliminate each other. That's a level one. You can call it whatever you want. You don't have to call it anything. But when I ask you, like, what level is this? What I mean is like, that's a one. That's like as easy as they get right there. Okay. Let's take a look at a level two. And I'm still not cycling back to that other problem because it's a level three. So in a level two, never, ever, ever, ever do I mean to insult your intelligence by asking you questions, but it's in the job description. What changed? They don't just cancel. Exactly. That's really, I don't know that I could have chosen better words than that. Um, that's the idea is in the fluffer puffer in example one, I could just add and the X's were like, just bye bye. In this case, if you were to add downwards, those don't cancel and those don't cancel. So what we have to do, the reason this is a level two is because we've got to do a little bit of prep work. Can anyone see a strategy, something that I could do, something that I could change that would make this like the last one? There's one number on the board that if it were something else, this would be a fluffer puffer. One number. It's the -4. And what do we wish that -4 was? If it was a -8, then we'd be great because the -8 would cancel with the +8 below it, right? So we can get away in a problem like this with just doing one thing. This is why this is a level two and not a level three. So what we're going to do is we're not going to say, boy, I wish you were a -8. We're going to make him a -8. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to multiply this whole darned equation by 2. And I like that he's already a negative, so I don't have to worry about like swapping his signs over and making him change because that will come up where you'll have to like turn a 3 into like a -12, and then you got to multiply by a -4. Easy peasy. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply through the entire equation. It's just one big distribution. 1, 2, 3. Everybody in the equation is going to get bunkered by 2. So here we go. What's the new top equation going to say? -8 x's plus 6 y's.
Plus,
Yes. And then I just like to take the bottom equation and just copy it back over. The way I feel about this is just every time I do a step, I basically just make a new math problem. So I'm going to take this top equation and just copy it over like this. It's at this point that I'm going to write this line. I haven't drawn this line to any point at any point in this problem until now. But that line in mathematics holds a meaning. It says I'm going to add a couple things together. So the things above this line, I'm adding. That's how we talk to each other. Now, when I add straight down the line, how many X's do I get? They eliminate each other. Perfect. And that's what we want. How many Y's do we get right here? We get 8 of them. 6 Y's plus 2 Y's makes 8 Y's. Drop your equal sign and then add the constant column. What's negative 66 plus 42? Negative 24. And then we divide both sides by 8, giving us our answer for Y, which is Y equals -3. So at this point, I can say, here's my final answer, blank, -3. How many equations do you see on the board that I could plug that into? And don't say 4.
One.
The right answer is 3. There are 3 different equations on the board. There is Mr. Purple Box. There is Mr. Yellow Box. And there is Mr. Green Box. Why does this guy not get a box?
It's the same.
Yeah, he's like the same thing. So he's not a unique example or equation. I would pick the yellow, like I think I heard you say, was that you? I would pick the yellow here 10 times out of 10, just because negatives. As a high school teacher, I tend to just kind of inherit your dislikes. So I'm going to just go where the positive numbers are, dudes. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our -3 and we're going to go put it right in there. You don't have to use my equation. If you want to use purple box or green box, you go do your thing. We'll get the same answer, okay? So if I use that equation, it's going to say 8x plus 2 times blank equals 42. And what's going in that blank? -3. And then you math. There's a reason that we make you take algebra before you take anything else, because all this solving equation stuff is just, it's everywhere, right? So 2 and -3 make -6. Now we add 6 to both sides, giving us 42 plus 6 is 48. We divide by 8 and we get x equals 6, and we are done. So a level 1 was a fluffer puffer where I could just go in, add them together, boom, easy, what a joke. A level 2, we had to multiply the top equation by something. What is a level 3? Yeah. So here is the level 3 that I sort of accidentally started the lesson with. So I'm ready for this problem now. That last problem, when I said, what's the one number we wish we could change? And Willow said that -4, I want to change him to a -8. That's it. There was one number we could change. There is not one number on this board that I could change without using like fractions and decimals. Or I can't turn that 2 into a 3. I can't turn that 2 on the top into a 5. So what's the solution? We multiply them both. We use a topic that you learned back in 4th grade called a common denominator. We don't call it that. We call it a common multiple, but it's the same idea. If I decide that I want to eliminate the x's, what could I turn them both into? Correct. If I decide that I want to eliminate the y's, what could I turn them both into? Tens, right? So here's a big brain question for you. Why is the y in this case the better choice? Why, sorry, incoming dad joke. Why is it the wise choice? Because one of them's already a negative. Yes. And so I think, given the choice, all things being equal, I would pick the pair where one of them's already negative and the other's positive, and then I don't have to worry about it, right? So what are we going to multiply the top equation by?
5.
And what are we going to multiply the bottom equation by? Correct. I don't care what happens to the X's in the 14s or the 16s. Not interested. I am focused on this yellow and this yellow because I know that they're gonna cancel. So here we go. What's my new top equation all the way through?
Negative.
Nice. Bottom equation all the way through. And it's at this point I draw my line of intention and say, I'm going in. I did it. I prepped it. I turned them into a fluffer puffer, and now I'm going to cash it in. When we add downwards, how many X's do we get right here? 19 X's. How many Y's do we get right here? None. What's after the equal sign? Negative 38. If you owe me $70 and pay me back 32, you still owe me, but only 38 bucks. And then we divide both sides of this by 19, and what is X? Negative 2. So our answer is right here in my customary larger thickness yellow pen, negative 2 blank. And how are we going to find the blank? We're going to plug it back in. And again, you have 4 choices. Original top, original bottom, new top, new bottom. Which one is the best probably? Original bottom, I can't think of a reason anyone would not pick original bottom. Relatively small numbers, positives. Yeah, sign me up for that. And where is the negative 2 going to go? In place of? In place of X, because it's X that we know. So that bottom equation is going to say 2 blank plus 5y equals 16. And into the blank goes the number negative 2. What's 2 times negative 2? Negative 4. Next step. What does that give you? Divide by 5. What do you get? Yes. Problem over. Now you are familiar with the process called elimination. I'm going to put a problem on the board and you're going to tell me what level you think it is, and then we're going to super speed race or solve it. Got it? All right, here we go. Oh, hello. One, two, or three? Absolutely not one. Right, we're not guessing, are we? It's not level 1 because if I were to add right now, the X's would not cancel and the Y's would not cancel. We agree? It is a level 2. And the reason it's a level 2 is because there's one thing I can target. I don't have to target the whole problem. I just have to say to myself, boy, it sure would be nice if there were a negative 2 in front of that X. If I could make that one change, then it's a fluffer puffer, right? So this is a level 2. Level 1, it's basically done for you. Level 2, you multiply 1. Level 3, you got to change them both. So let's knock this out real quick. Ready? We're going to multiply the top equation only by negative 2. So the top's going to become negative 2x. And then what? Say again. Plus 12y equals. Correct. Bottom equation stays the same. We good? X's eliminate. Bye-bye. How many y's do you get? 7 equals. What's negative 16 plus 16? 0. And this is not the point where we raise our hand and say, can you come look at this? I think I did something wrong. We pinky promise, agree with each other that we will just treat 0 as a number and stop thinking is something weird. We're going to divide both sides by 7, and we're simply going to say y equals 0. It's not a thing. It's a number. So if y is 0, I write my answer like this, and I say blank, comma, 0. And where does the 0 go? Yes. And I would personally choose this top equation because X is already like, I don't have to divide. So if you put 0, follow the yellow arrow, whoop, whoop, right there. Boom. Top equation. What is 6 times 0? So it literally solves itself. X equals 8. Done. Okay. Next one. Wholly level 3, right? There is not one thing I could point to and say, let's change it. I couldn't turn the 3 into a 4 to match. I couldn't turn the 6 into a 7 to match. So this one, I've got to hit them both. Who do you want to kill off, the X's or the Y's? Again, make a good choice here. If I agree with the Y's, if I do the X's, I have to turn them both into 42s, which I don't care, but you might. If I do the Y's, I could turn them both into 12s. And there's already plus minus on both, so I'll take the Y's. What am I going to multiply top by? Bottom? And we're off. New top equation. What does it say? No. Plus 12y equals bottom. Add them up. Positive 3x's if you go right here. Negative 21 plus 24 is positive 3. Eliminate those. What's negative 18 plus 12? Negative 6. What does x equal? Negative 2. And then you just write your answer down, negative 2, comma, blank. Stick that negative 2. I would tell you, other than people that just like to be like, get attention and be like weird, like, ooh, look, I'm being funny. Usually people don't choose these equations for the next step, right? Like, why would you? Why would you pick equations that have way bigger numbers? Unless you're just looking to be silly. So, of the top of the original two, which one probably is a little tastier? Probably the bottom. Yeah, it's a little nicer of an equation. So it's going to say 6 times, not x anymore, but negative 2 minus 3y equals 3. And then from here, you're welcome at this point to math as quickly as you're comfortable with. What is 6 times negative 2? How are we going to get rid of that negative 12? We're going to add it to both sides. So we're going to be left with negative 3y equals 15. If you want to start doing things like that and doing them correctly, I've got no issues. What's y?
5.
Negative 5. Good. Got the idea? Uno más. A level. Wholehearted fluffer puffer level 1. You look at it right away and you're like, thanks for the wise, dude. So I'm just ready to go right in and just stick my line here and add these together. When we add straight downwards, how many x's do we get? I get 3 of those. Our y's eliminate equals what's 3 plus 9? 12. 3 plus 9 is 12. Divide by 3. Within like 5 seconds, we know that x is 4. Crazy. And where do we put the 4? Yeah, and this is one where I could see for the first time really us having a 50-50 split. If I asked all 22 of you or 24 of you, what do you, I'd say half of you would pick the top, half of you would pick the bottom for different reasons. So I'm just going to pick the bottom because I'm the one with the fake pen. So take that. If you want to use the other one, please go use it. Okay. So that bottom equation, if I change this x right here into 4, it's going to say 44 minus 7y equals 9, right? How do we get rid of that 44? Subtract it. We get negative 7y equals what? Don't say 35. Negative 35. Thank you. And then what does y equal? Positive 5. Done. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I say eventually most of us are going to migrate into the camp of, yeah, okay, that's the best one. It's the one that's the most useful. As we move in at algebra 2 to 3 by 3 systems, it's the only one we'll use. Like we won't ever touch substitution for that. So this is a good method. All right, I'm going to hand out the assignment. We can do a couple together if you want or not. It's up to you. Yes. Yes, the quiz will be very clear on you have to do it this way and then you have to do it this. Yeah, it'll say. A request was made. Can we just go over problem number 6? And the answer is, of course. I did use front and back on this so that you should have enough room to do your work right on these papers. So I had 12 on one side originally, and then I spaced it out for you. So problem 6, the OG problem is here. This is 100% level 2, Tyler. I agree with you, bud. And it's level 2 because Tyler is on his A game today and he targets this like a hawk. If I could turn that -6 into a -12, then I would solve my problems. And if I can target one spot, it's a level 2. So good for you. So we agree. If you're working along, great. If you're not, fine. If we're doing this problem, we're going to multiply the bottom equation by what? Just 2. You don't need to use a negative because it's already got the signs that we want, one negative, one positive. So you only have to multiply by a negative if you got to do a sign change, which we haven't had to do yet. Nice. So I'm going to take the top equation and I'm going to just copy it over. Takes a little bit, like, I don't know, 5 seconds or something like that. And then the bottom equation, I have to math. And here it goes. If we multiply everything in the bottom equation by 2, what do we get? -12 of those. That plus 10 of those equals -16. And now that we've got it prepped, it's time to draw the line and say I'm going in. Good so far? And then we add. This is where elimination will happen. When I add straight downwards, how many X's do I get? None. They're gone. That was the whole point. Adding down the Y's, how many do I get? I get 2. -8 Y's plus 10 Y's is 2 Y's. And then adding down the constants, that's what those are called, constant terms. What's 20 plus -16? 4. And then you divide both sides by 2. What does Y equal?
2.
Nice. So at this point, I take the opportunity to write my final answer and say blank 2. And I think there's probably a pretty clear-cut winner here. Yeah, original bottom is my guy too. I agree with you. So the original bottom is for the win right here. And so I'm going to change that Y into a 2. And it's okay just to math as you go. You don't need to write 5 times 2 for God's sake. Like you could just put -6x plus 10. Next step. Take away that 10. You get -6x equals what? Negative what? Yes. And then divide both sides by -6. What's x?
3.
Yes. Plug that into my final answer. Pat myself on the back. On to the next one. ¿Quieren hacer más problemas juntos? Sí. 7? Sure. Oh, I lied to you. 7's out of order. How did he sneak in here? You little dog. 7? What? How did this happen? I think there are goblins in my computer. That's what I think. Okay, I lied to you. There's some goblins. Number 7 is our first example. So, well, it's like, might as well just do it now. So, one of the hardest things to do, which I think we're finally almost there, is just to get everyone on board with this. That was a challenge for me, just to get you guys to see y equals mx plus b. Not everybody, but just to get 65 people eventually, everyone on the ship is a challenge. I feel the same way about what I'm about to explain to you. There's a certain way I want this equation to look. I don't even know what level it is yet. That's not the point. Before I get to what level it is, what is wrong with that guy? Yeah, it's all out of whack. So I have to think to myself about what do I want this to look like? And I like things to be the same. Eventually there comes a point where you realize I could do elimination with every equation looking however I want as long as I'm consistent. But I, as a guy who has to teach this to 5.5 dozen people, I'm telling you, we should always strive to have our X first, our Y second, our equals third, and our number fourth. If we can just agree to that, it's called standard form, then I think it helps. So I say, hey, 7x, get over there and become positive, right? And then I say, hey, 5y, get over there, but change yourself to positive. And then I say, hey, 4, sit, stay. Good. And then the bottom one is already ready, already. Ready, it's already ready already. Because it's already got the negative 12x in its proper home. It's got the plus 21y in its proper home. And it's got the negative 66 in its proper home. Because we had such a wonky second hour today, they didn't ever get to see this, but are you guys a little bit scared of this problem? I would be if I were sitting where you're sitting. I was kind of a math chicken until I was like 17, so I'd be a little scared. Um, if you're gonna change the x's, what are you gonna turn them both into? Right, exactly. How about the y's? Yeah, I know, huh? Um, a green Jolly Rancher, if anyone can spot something that I could do to make my life easier with this problem. Be more specific, Clayton. Oh, you ready for this? I'm gonna drop I'm gonna drop some black magic on you. Are you ready for this? No, seriously, are you ready? I'm gonna rewrite the bottom equation. Ready? Here it goes.
think I would have said, simple out. I said that first.
You can divide an entire equation by something to make the number smaller anytime you want to. And so, having said that, do you see how I just divided everything in the bottom row by 3? I don't need this scary one anymore. If I can chop one of them down, 100 out of 100 people surveyed said they'd rather do this problem than the one before. So we kind of got to learn 2 things with problem 7. He was a gold mine. What a great problem. Now, what level is this? I'm ready now for that conversation, Aurora. It's definitely a level 3, isn't it? Yes?
You made me solemnly swear to never try and simplify point of the grid again.
Solemnly swear to not simplify a point of degree again
On the grid.
on the grid?
Point. 4x7, negative 4x7y. You made me swear never to try and simplify everything.
Well, it's because that's not what we did. We just took an entire equation and we divided everything by 3. That's not dividing points on a grid.
We can do that. Let's do that.
Yes.
We do it by like 2. We do it by 2. We do it by 2.
Yes.
We can do it by 6. Do it by
Yes.
6.
Yes, the moral of the story is this. Like if you're walking through and you see an equation, people are starting to drop off like flies. I know this isn't the most exciting, but you still need to be a part of this. If you saw an equation that said like 44x minus 55y equals 121, you would be well within your rights to say, what the what? But then after about 1.3 seconds of belly aching, you'd go, oh, those can all be divided by 11, right? So what is 44 divided by 11? 4 minus 5 equals, see that? It's no different than what we've been doing since August. You can divide an equation both sides by anything that you want whenever you want, provided that it's an equation and not something that we're graphing. Okay? Now, back to problem 7. Level 3, which is the more sensible choice for who we want to eliminate? I'm going to ask you why when you tell me, so be prepared to give an explanation. Why is X a better choice? Yes. I'm going to pick the X's just because then I don't have to dunker with their signs. What do I want to turn 7 and 4 both into? No! You can't turn a 4 into a 21 unless you multiply it by 5.25. Ain't nobody got time for that. I like 28. So we're going to multiply by 4 y 7. Top equation, what do we get?
Well, equals 58.
Bottom.
Negative plus 5 equals
7 times 22. Multiply 7 and break 22 in your head into 20 and 2 and double attack. 7 times 20 is 140. 7 times 2 is, add them together, negative 154. Your brain can handle single digit, double digit multiplication quicker than a calculator can, provided that you know your 4th grade times tables. And now we're ready to go. Draw your line and say, I'm going in. X's eliminate. How many Y's? 20 plus 49 makes 69 Y's. Add your constants together. What do you get? Marcus has $16 in his bank account. He attempts a debit purchase for $154 and it goes through. How much does he owe the bank? $138. The bank says you owe us 138 bucks.
I get 2.
You don't get 2.
Oh, wait, no, you get negative 2.
And then you plug it back in. Right? Final answer. And I feel like most people would choose this one. Like Cage said, this is the sensible choice here, probably. So take that top one and what are we going to change? We're going to change the Y into a negative 2. So it's going to say 7x. What's 5 times negative 2? So I'm just going to write 7x minus 10. Add 10, what do you get? 14. Divide 14 by 7, what do you get? None.
Those numbers.
I hadn't intended that we would be engaged together the whole hour, but it turns out that's about what we did there. So yeah, sorry, I really didn't even know that I had done that. The computer goblins did this. Yeah, number 8 is out of order. Number 12 is out of order. I really didn't know that it did that. Obviously it's not the computer, it's your dumb teacher, but yeah, so tomorrow we will work more on this. However, there will also be more work. So tomorrow's not like 45 minutes to do the last 8 problems. It's some new stuff and then some more work. It'll be kind of like assignments 39 and 40 were. Okay.